What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, coming at you with another edition of SWAC Talk on YouTube, the show where we cover the SWAC inside and out. We're gonna do a little, not that long, just a little opinion video of mine on some things that I see going on in the SWAC YouTube verse. But before we do that, you can go ahead and check out those socials down in the description below if you haven't done so already. Facebook.com/SWACtalk, Twitter.com/SWACtalk76, Instagram.com/SWACtalk, and SWACtalk76@gmail.com is the email address. So go ahead and like those, follow those, whatever the case may be. I hope you would please do so. The YouTube channel is at 131 subscribers. We're growing, and I'd like to thank everybody for being in that number. Your support means a lot to me. So I just want to thank y'all, and I'm going to continue to do the best I can to bring y'all content in a timely manner and in a good manner. And while you're here, if you haven't done so already, I want you to go ahead and subscribe to the page, like all the videos, share them if possible, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to any videos that are uploaded on this channel. Also, check out the podcast, SWAC Talk, which is where all of this originated from. It's on anchor.fm/SWACtalk. It can also be found on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of that. Go ahead and take a listen. All of that is in the arc. I got mad shows in the archive. It's a more of a deep dive into SWAC football than this little condensed video version. So if you want to get more nitty gritty and numbers and all of that stuff, then go ahead and check out the podcast. We do have a podcast episode dropping on Sunday, as well as another YouTube video is going to be dropping on Sunday. I'm going to start a spring individual team spring review. I'm just kind of doing a little bit before we get into our 12-team fall previews. So we're going to do all 9 teams how they fared in the spring, what kind of storylines they had, and all of that. You're going to have a deep dive version into numbers and everything on the podcast. And then you're going to have a more short and kind of to the point version on YouTube. So those are just some things to check out coming around the bend for this channel. I'm not going to really go too crazy on this, and I'm not going to talk too long, but there's been a big boom in the SWAC community, HBCU community on YouTube, myself included. And like I said, I've done podcasts since like 2013. So I've been doing this, but I'm new on YouTube. But there's a lot of people who are doing this now, and I salute everybody for what they're doing. Whether this is a job for you or this is just a hobby of yours, I salute everybody, and I appreciate the work that people put out and the time that they put in, because to do this kind of stuff, you have to take time out of your day to do it. Some people have jobs that they work and they do this on the side. So I salute everybody for that. That's first and foremost. Now on to the other part of this. There are some people who are doing a really good job with their content and their channels. I salute them for sure. They don't know it, but they push me to kind of step up my game a little bit, because I see what's in front of me and I see who's doing what, because I'm an observer. I like to watch, and I like to sit back and check out everything that's going on. So I see what people are doing, and I see the pages that are really successful. And I kind of borrow a little bit from here and borrow a little bit from there, and do my own spin. But there are people who are doing things very, very well, and they're doing it the right way. And nothing but love for them. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are, but I support everybody who does this, with love, because HBCU football and SWAC football is a niche product on YouTube. So you need to cover it with love. And this is not, Power 5 football. This is not NFL. This is not G5. FCS football in general, it's a when you have somebody that covers it, they typically come from a spot of love. So if you are new in this, then you need to develop a love for it, because otherwise it's gonna show through. But that leads me to some other people out there who are doing the same, who are doing that thing, but I don't really feel like they really coming at it the right way. Now, I'm not the one to say, tell people how to run their channel, because I'm sure some people look at my show and they be like, "Oh, this sucks," and that's all good to me. I just do this because I want to. But there's people who don't realize or don't really care that what you say out here is getting taken and ran with by people, because this is this is not a big community, and there's not a whole lot of people who cover this. So if you get a topic that gets popping, people are gonna take it and they're gonna spin it a certain way. And if you're not of this world, then you don't have that love and care about what you're covering. And also knowledge. I mean, knowledge is key. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know how to present what you're saying, and you have to present what you're saying in a good manner. And it's been a couple of videos that I've watched. I'm not going to air nobody out because I don't want nobody to air me out. But I've seen some people say some things, about how SWAC facilities are, without even taking into account how some of these other facilities and FCS schools are. I don't know where people got this perception that FCS schools or PWIs are like G5 and P5 facilities. That is so untrue. If you go to McNeese, they have a nice stadium. That stadium is on par with Southern. Southeastern doesn't have a big stadium. Northwestern State has a stadium, holds like 14,000. Nichols Stadium holds like 20-something thousand, but it's not great. Sam Houston Stadium isn't amazing. Stephen F. Austin Stadium isn't amazing. You name it, man. You look at Delaware, they draw a nice crowd, but that stadium isn't like this bastion of college football. A lot of people don't play in huge stadiums and they don't have these tremendous facilities. So that's something that I don't feel like you should be tearing down the SWAC for, because yes, there have been some teams with some horrendous stadiums in the SWAC in the past. Prairie View, Black Shear Field back in the day was ugly. It was like a high school stadium. They built a beautiful stadium on that campus. Now that whole athletic facility is amazing. It's immaculate. If you haven't been to Prairie View to check that out, I suggest you do. That stadium is great. Alcorn Stadium is unorthodox the way it's built, but it's a nice stadium. I don't, who cares that you can see through the fence in the back? That's just, that's an aesthetic. Alabama State Stadium. A&M Stadium is big. It's a nice stadium. I don't like how far the stands are away from the field. And I haven't been to Huntsville in a long time. So if things are kind of different, then, let me know. Because I haven't been to Huntsville in I don't know. But, I'm not trying to, that's why I'm not trying to down nobody, because everything that I try to say is from a perspective of me seeing it. We all know what Mississippi Memorial looks like from being on TV the last few weeks. Texas Southern in that rented stadium with the orange seats. That's the only one that I'm ever probably clown on, because they don't have a great stadium on that campus. Grambling Stadium, they just got new field turf, so they're taking steps to improve their facility. Valley's trying to raise money for field turf and other additions to that stadium. I would like to see Valley get a new scoreboard. Because I plan on being at Valley this year. So I've been to Valley a bunch of times, and that stadium has gotten a lot of work. The gym has gotten a lot of work. Pine Bluff, they moved from an old stadium to a nice stadium that fits with the size of their fan base. And Bragg Stadium at FAMU is another one of those stadiums. It's not the greatest, but it's a nice stadium. Daytona, the stadium in Daytona is like a city stadium. So Bethune is not a big school, so you can't imagine that they will have like this great stadium. But they make do with what they have, and that just lets I just like to say, don't talk about nothing that you're not 100% on, man, and don't talk bad about these programs if you're not doing anything to help these programs grow. We all want to see SWAC football get better. SWAC football was not great in the mid 2000s when they introduced the 9-game mandate, and they basically closed themselves off to outside football. The football went down. So if you want to know when the SWAC went from being competitive to not competitive, you got to look no further than when they introduced that 9-game mandate. That leaves you with 2 non-conference games, and a lot of people had if you take a team like Alabama State or Jackson, they already have a HBCU non-conference game rivalry that has to take on that schedule. So that leaves you with 1 game to fill. And you're not going to be able to play a regional FCS opponent because that's when everybody was starting to get to the money games. So that 9-game mandate, it killed SWAC football. So if you want to know where it started and how we now getting it out the mud to get back to where SWAC football can be, excuse me, it's going to 7 games in conference, 8 games in conference, allowing teams to play 3 and 4 non-conference games. Getting out and playing these Southland Conference schools, these Southern Conference schools, these Big South Conference schools to test yourself, because that's the only way that anybody outside of our circle is going to recognize what you're doing. You have to play and win non-conference games. And that's been beat into the ground, so I'm not going to beat that anymore. The only other thing I want to touch on is this myth that people are spreading around that everybody comes to Black college games strictly for the band. Now, I got much love for every band in the SWAC. I have brother-in-law marched in the Human Jukebox. I know mad people who was in the Human Jukebox and Southern. I know some people who marched in other bands around the conference. But I'm a football guy. I go to the game for football. My wife, she do go for the band, but she's there because I'm there for the game. So, and she gets wrapped up in the game too. But this myth that everybody goes for the band and everybody leaves at halftime, or 90% of the stadium leaves at halftime, man, y'all need to cut that shit out, bro. Even at schools like Alabama, they had to threaten to fine students so they wouldn't leave games at halftime. Think about that. Alabama. Now, I try not to compare anything with the Power 5, but I've been to LSU games before. Everybody don't stay in that stadium. There's people that are there for the Golden Band from Tiger Lane. If it wasn't, they wouldn't have that name. You know what I'm saying? The Marching Southerners at Jacksonville State, that's a band that they love their band. Ohio State, they love their band. Michigan, they love their band. Their bands have some tradition and interweaving with HBCU bands, so you need to check that out too before you talk on anything. But that myth that only Black college games that everybody come for the band and everybody leave at halftime, man, that is not true. If it's a blowout, I don't care what school it is, people are going to leave early because nobody wants to sit through a blowout but me. I stay till the end unless the Southern getting drugged, then I'm gone. But I'm just playing. But excuse me, everybody doesn't leave at halftime. People stay, and yes, people are there for the band because the band is an attraction. It's like going to a circus. You have this going on one ring, you have this going on in another ring. Those things intermingle and they cooperate together. Now, some schools, if you don't have a good football team, then yes, you're going to lean on how good your band is. I ain't never seen nobody with a good football team and a trash band. But, that's another topic for another day that I won't really get into because I don't really cover bands on my page just because I'm strict. But just to kind of wrap this all up, I just feel like, man, there's a lot of people throwing things out there and they're getting ran with, and they don't, somebody needs to present another side of this. It's just getting crazy. And like I said, I just want to kind of touch on that. And I also want to say, man, and I probably already said this in here. So, if you really want to see these programs do better, if you want to see these programs have better recruiting budgets, if you want to see these programs have better uniforms or whatever, what have you, better fields, all of that, man, cut a check. You have to cut a check, man. You cannot sit there and talk about anything and don't put anything anywhere. If you live within driving distance of a school and you kind of interested, man, buy season tickets. Put some more money in the program, man. Join the booster club. Do something. Every little bit helps. I mean, obviously, unless you're a millionaire, you're not gonna swing the needle all the way around. But your little bit can do a little. can do something, man. You know, people raising money for certain things, help them out. If that's what you're so inclined to do. I'm not telling nobody to do that if that's not what they want to do, but the only way you can make a change is to help make that change. Sitting there and criticizing and just bashing everybody is not going to get it done. So much love to everybody out there. I don't have any ill will toward anybody that does this, because I know it's not easy, and I'm learning that the hard way by doing this myself. So much love to everybody out there covering HBCU and SWAC football, man. Continue to do it with love, and I got nothing but respect for everybody, and much love to y'all, and I'm out of here.